And that will invite in all of our guests. So you're all very welcome to this, what I was going to say lesson. It's not a lesson. It's a conversation from the think tank. So we have this strategic social team here. So we have Brian, who's going to chair this. We have Kristie, we have Bradley, and we have Kaya. So I'm going to hand straight over to them and let the conversation begin. Looking forward to hearing you guys with all your inspiration and your hope and being lighthouses for everyone watching. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ronan. And it's good to have people on the call today. We, in the pre-call, we're kind of talking about all the different things that we want to unpack for you today. And I'm super excited about what the panelists have. We're going to allow each of them to kind of unpack a message that they have. We're going to open it up for questions. And then we're going to address some of the topics that are out there around social media right now, kind of the elephants in the room, and really try and give you as much actionable content and just some inspiration and some different things today. So kind of dig in, take some notes, and if you have questions, make sure to post them in the chat. Myself and Ronan will be kind of monitoring that. So we have a nice small team. Ronan uses the word scrappy. And that's really what I think this team is. We're a scrappy team. We want so much to be able to give you content and share with you. And so we're just going to kind of jump into that. The order, we're going to kind of go from Kristie, and then I'm going to turn it over to Bradley, and then Kaya will round out each of the presentation parts of it. But, I'm just so looking forward to what we all have to share with you today. So go ahead, Kristie.
Well, I have two things that I wanted to share regarding the social media aspect and kind of what I'm doing with my mostly Instagram, but Facebook is connected as well. I have been doing I spoke about the takeovers, the Insta-story takeovers in a previous webinar, and that's about to wrap up. So I wanted to jump into something else that was showcasing my 2021 seniors, because again, that was something I wanted to be in front of their friends, because we're trying to get them to think about their senior pictures. I specialize in senior portraits, so that's what I'm really trying to, we're usually headed into our busy season. So I want to be in the forefront of their brains. But I also wanted to honor my class of 2020, who their school year has ended in March. And so they're kind of bummed, and I wanted to do something to honor them, as well as do something to help our community and showcase some of our businesses in our community. So the first thing I'm going to be going into on Friday for my 2020 seniors is they're going to be sending me, have you guys ever seen the, where you have like an old picture of a toddler and they're riding their little bike with a cute hat on or something, and then remaking that as an older child. So they're going to be remaking an old picture of them as a child into what they're doing now. So we already got one where she had this cute little fedora hat on and she's making this pouty face, and the girl recreated it. It was super cute. So I'm going to be posting that alongside with one of their senior pictures and saying, we are so proud of you then and now. We can't wait to see, what your future holds. So that's going to be showcasing their class, and letting them know that we're proud of them, but kind of a little twist on it, making, letting them have a part of it. And then also a little bit of fun showing them as a child and them kind of recreated, but showcasing my work as well. So that's what I'm headed into.
That's going to be super cute. It reminds me of a picture when I was little, and I'm wearing these little shorts and knee-high red socks. So I don't know if I would recreate that picture today, but
I'm giving them, they're obviously get to choose, so they pick something that they'll like, but some of the parents are having fun with it too, because they get to go through the old baby pictures and be like, you should do this one, and the parents have been able to be a part of it, so it kind of gives them something to do and something to bond over as well. So that I'm excited to see what comes from that in the next over the next week, starting at the end of this week. So that should be fun.
Is Instagram your main way that you're doing this?
It is for me, because like I said, I'm high school seniors mainly, and then I work with teens. And so that's where they're at. So I am all on Instagram. Facebook, I talk to the moms, and then actually as my seniors go into college and come back, they're back on Facebook. so it kind of is a full circle. But as when I'm marketing for sessions, I'm all on Instagram, and Insta stories huge. That could go into a whole nother subject, but
well,
I do a lot of this on Insta stories because the reach is 10 times the amount that I get in posting in the feed. So I'm sending them to my feed with their images, but I'm reaching a lot more people by sharing in the stories.
So what about some of the other platforms like, and I'm going to maybe be off a little bit, but like TikTok or Twitch or, some of these things?
So TikTok's huge. I have a TikTok account, but I haven't ventured into it. And that was just a personal thing. One of my things is keep it simple. So I try to find things that I focus on so that I'm not all spread out, because I know that for me, I wouldn't do as good a job if I don't have a focus area. So Instagram, I found, has been successful. I started Snapchat a little bit, and I didn't, it wasn't for me. And I really want to keep authentic to who I am. And so Instagram, I've been lucky that that's been successful for me. TikTok, I've used a little bit to make videos, but I don't have a platform. And some of that's personal preference because of some of the things that I've heard about TikTok. So I haven't done enough research to feel like if I want to promote on there or not. So I can't really speak on it. But for me, I've been lucky that Instagram's worked out really well.
Nice. Yeah. And I think finding where your audience is, like for me, I photograph mostly corporate executives. So they're probably not on TikTok. They might be, but they might be. But yes, finding your audience. And I think that's something that's important for everyone to hear is we don't have to spread ourselves so thin just because we can. Find your place, find your people, find your message, and kind of go down that road.
Yeah, and it's not the same for everyone. I'm lucky that I've been able to, I feel like it's been working so far, and it might change in the next year. We all know that it changes very easily, but I know there's many of my photographer friends are very successful on TikTok and very successful on Snapchat, and that just what works for them. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong. You really have to find what your flow is and what works for you the best, because it can be different for everyone.
So let me ask you this question, and we're going a little more interview style here. I'll probably do this to the other panelists as well, but you bring up something that I think is one of the elephants in the room. So as a 52-year-old male, me messaging on Instagram to high school seniors seems a little bit strange. Now, you as a female, I think maybe can talk to the high school senior girls and have those conversations. Tell me, what you think about that? Like, I would want to have maybe an intern or, a staff person on my team that could connect with those high school seniors instead of me messaging to them. Do you have some ideas on that?
I think you make a good point that it could, if they don't know who you are, there's definitely, and I've had conversations with parents who have told me that like photographers have reached out, and even female ones, they just weren't comfortable with someone who they haven't had any contact with.
That's a good point.
Reaching out via, it doesn't matter whether they're a male or a female, because they don't know who the people are. So I actually don't reach out to anyone who has not reached out to me yet. If they've commented on my posts, if they have, an inquiry, of course, then I'll follow, or if they've entered, a giveaway or whatever I'm doing. But I don't follow or reach out to anyone that I haven't already had an initial contact with, just because I've had those conversations with parents who felt like it worried them. And I'm a parent, I have young children, so I always put myself into the place of them as well. So I try to be respectful on making contact, and initially, whether it's in person at any of my events or through any of the posts that I've already created. And I think that can be across the board, but everyone's different. Again, some people are really personable, and I seem like I'm kind of shy when I haven't met people. And so for me, I'm more comfortable having contacts and getting to know them a little bit before I would reach out to them.
Perfect.
That's just comfortable.
Yeah. And I'm going to allow Kaya to kind of jump in here also and talk on this just a little bit. I think you bring up a couple things that I really enjoyed the fact that you mentioned this. It's not a male-female thing. I think it's a comfort thing. And I find I go through my parents, the parents of my seniors. That's where the conversation really probably begins and in a sense ends. The senior is the subject in a lot of it, but I market to parents as much as I do to the kids. And so, but I'm glad that you kind of broke that down. Kaya, I know you also have some thoughts on this.
That Instagram is what I was planning to talk about too. I do high school seniors and then families and children. And so when you were asking the question, I was like, oh, that's part of my subject here. So I wanted to pick on it. But I also wanted to ask Kristie a question about what you were talking about. You said that you did Insta takeovers with your 2021 seniors, and then you are doing the like recreation of a baby picture for your 2020s. Are you asking specific kids to do that, or are you asking everyone? And if you're asking everyone, what's your buy-in for that? Like how many people are wanting to participate?
So I am working with that specifically with my ambassadors, and that is what, so I have a group of 2021 ambassadors already set in place that have been doing my takeovers. And then I have my 2020 ambassadors that I kind of get to, and I think I mentioned this in another webinar. I work with my ambassadors from their junior year, January of their junior year through the end of their senior year. So like almost a year and a half. So I get to know them, and they're my group that I get to spoil. You know, I do things with them that I wish I could do for everyone, but I can't because they're still a fairly big group, but smaller than every single one of my clients. And then for things like this, I already have a group of people that I can pull from, and I just reach out to them usually via text and say, you know, I really would love to have you guys do takeovers. Is anyone interested? I don't make them do anything. So I have 31 ambassadors this year, and I had 10 girls who were interested in doing takeovers. So, I mean, I was glad all 31 didn't want to do it.
Yeah, that made me worried.
Yeah, so you know, it's just, my ambassador team is huge part of my business, not only for the marketing, but just what I put out there for what I want my business to be known for. And then it's just a group that's already set into place from really early on before they're even seniors, that I can do these kinds of things with. And I do stuff with them when anything comes up with my ambassadors. I'll say, hey, we have this opportunity to, you know, go make some signs. We did last year, we're going to make Be Kind signs at a local business. And I just put a call out and said, hey, they were asking for some help and anyone who wants to come. And I had like 10 girls come that day. So it's just, my ambassador group is a great place to pull for things that I want to do that I know I can't do with every single person I work with. That's
right. So, you know, one of the things that you just unpacked there is, as we're, you know, talking about social media here, and we put these calls out there, and you have 30, let's say, as your pool, not everybody's going to take you up on everything. So I think that can be the fear a lot of times, like, oh, if I put this call out, I'm going to be overwhelmed, and so I can't put it out there. The kids who,
sorry, you can always too, like, I knew that if I put that call and I had 25 girls, I mean, 10 was kind of my happy place, so I was glad it just worked out that way, and we're even splitting days. But, you know, you can always politely say, you know, I've had 25 girls and I can't, I just think that that's too many days of takeovers. I was very honest with them. I said, if we get to a limit, they know that people don't want to see takeovers for 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, because they don't want to see that. But you can always say it's going to be first come, first serve, and then have a wait list. And I'm actually probably going to do some takeovers later in the year, even though it might not be in the quarantine life. It just will be like, you know, something else, because they've really enjoyed it. So you can always adjust your plan. It doesn't have to go perfectly. You just say, oh, wow, we had such great interest. I'm going to take the first 10, and the next, I'm going to call you guys up, you know, in a couple of months, and we're going to do another round of takeovers, and you guys are going to be on the list. You can always do it that way.
Right. So for one of the things I would encourage everybody to take away from what she just said right there is, just because right now during the quarantine or during the pandemic, or, you know, all the labels we put on this time frame, doesn't mean the good ideas can't be executed later as well. So if the takeovers are a successful thing right now, do them even when we're not in these kind of situations, right? So one of the things I've heard a lot of people, it's put something out there, see how it works. If it does, if the takeovers didn't work, you wouldn't do them again. But if they do, it's not just during this time. So really get kind of adapt at looking and reading the tea leaves on how your social media is working, and then make it something that you're known for eventually. So thank you so much. You gave us a lot of content. I'm going to go to Bradley next, and then we're going to circle back on some of the questions. So that was really powerful. Bradley.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to touch on what I'm doing at the minute in terms of advertising. So
awesome.
We advertise an awful lot on social media, mostly Facebook and Instagram. At the moment, I've pulled everything off. The only thing I'm running is what I call like an omnipresence video strategy. So I've created numerous videos. Well, me and my team have created numerous videos. So they all center around either customer testimonials, behind the scenes things, makeovers, common objections or common questions we have. So we have a set of about 8 to 10 videos we put out. We create those videos. They're between about 14 seconds to about 3 minutes long, just depending. I advertise those videos out using Facebook Business Manager as a reach objective. So the way they basically work is they're in one ad set, multiple ads. I set a frequency cap for all the ads so that when the first advert goes live, when that video gets viewed, I set the frequency cap to 1 in every 8 days, something like that. So that when they watch the first video, the day after, they'll see the second video, the day after, the third video, and so on and so forth, until they've gone completely through the video schedule I've created, and then it's back to the beginning again. So it's a great way to get in front of your audience, especially with, it's not sales content, it's just about us, who we are, what we do, common questions, to build a better audience in the future. So I'm reading this out to a colder audience because I know that I'm going to get video views from this. I'm going to get landing page views. I'm going to get advert clicks. I can then use that to build better audiences when I'm back into the studio and can advertise offers and everything like that in the future. So another great way you can do this as well is you can create multiple audiences with it. So you can have your cold audience you're advertising out to. You can have a warmer audience so that it's the same advert set. So one advert account, 8 adverts in it, but that's going to a warm audience of people who watch 25% or more of the videos. It just constantly feeds into one another, and it's a way for you to be present in everybody's newsfeed, so that when you do get back to work, that whatever genre you're shooting, for us it's boudoir, we're going to be that first point of call that anybody thinks about, because they've seen us doing walkthroughs, testimonials, customer interviews, all sorts of stuff. So when they come to that decision, when we do run an actual advert, or when we're back into work and we can actually shoot, we're going to be first of mind. We're going to come to mind straight away.
So you always have so much granular detail. I mean, you're amazing. I do have some questions though from this standpoint. You say we a lot. How big is your team that you're managing this?
So we're a family team. So there's 5 of us in total. So there's me, my partner, my mum and dad, and then we have a makeup artist, Holly. So she does most of our makeup, and she does a bit of admin and stuff as well.
Okay.
So mostly a family team.
Nice. One of the things you have structured your business. So, and this might sound a little controversial to say, you haven't structured it like a typical photography business where it's just word of mouth and just kind of, we'll take what we get. You are the epitome of strategic social.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Have you always been this way? I mean, I would say you're a brand manager for a Fortune 500 company if I didn't know better.
So yeah, when I started the business, when I got into the business about 6 years ago, I had no interest in being a photographer. I didn't have a particular interest in follow-up, so like design consultations or selling. What I wanted to do was marketing. So that's what I put all my time into.
Gotcha.
And that's what I do. We all have like clear, distinct roles. So my dad's our main photographer. My partner also shoots. She does a lot of the editing as well. My mum does a lot of the design consultations and sales. And she's also our like boudoir stylist. So she's in the shoots, all our boudoir shoots as well. I handle operations and all the marketing side of things.
Yeah. So I think that can be both encouraging and overwhelming, right? Encouraging that you can have your strength. So I come from a family business as well. And it was my mom, dad, sister, and I. And dad was the primary photographer. I was the marketing person. My sister was sales and my mom was operations.
Yeah.
And so I totally understand that. Now, one of the interesting things, fast forward a number of years, both my parents have since passed away, and my sister took another position when we went through the '08 kind of downturn.
Yeah.
So I reinvented my business, and now I'm a kind of a solopreneur. But it doesn't mean, and this is the thing I kind of want to unpack from this, finding that other person that can have the skill set that you're maybe not 100% invested in, because to be a social media strategist and do the things that you're doing is a full-time job on its own. And so I would just want to encourage the listeners here is to say, doing these kind of marketing campaigns on social take time, effort, energy, and a lot of skill. So you may not have it, but there are people out there that do. And so I think that we don't have to be equal parts everything to be successful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially in our business, we all can wear many hats, so we all can pretty much do anything that needs to get done. But we all have, again, our specialized role, and we stick to that. And there's a great saying that, if you're not like a 7 out of 10 at a certain task, that you outsource that. That you don't waste your time doing that. You find somebody who's better, or you find a way to learn about that before you actually do it, so you can bring yourself up to speed. Focus on what you're best at.
So in our last call, I think the question was kind of on how much you spend on these ads and these different things. And obviously you wouldn't spend the money if you weren't getting the return on investment. Do you have everybody has different tolerance levels, right? Some of us are a little bit more willing to risk money, and others say, I need guarantee. Can you talk to the audience a little bit maybe on where you would start if you haven't done some of these things and you're a little scared, how you could ease into it? Or do you just rip the Band-Aid off and throw money at everything?
Well, I've always tried to keep everything cost neutral. So when I was beginning to advertise, whatever my budget was, I tried to get that back in either session fees or booking deposits. So as a way for me to not, spend all my marketing budget and spend all my money and not get anything back in return, that's how I did it to begin with. And especially when at the moment now, I have a full marketing budget. I have an advert schedule. I've got 11, 13 adverts, a month that I send out, and know what I'm doing with it. To begin with, it was one advert a month. I didn't have any understanding of what I was doing. So it's just start with what you can afford to, basically, and always work backwards. So I always tell people to have an idea of what, the maximum sessions they can shoot in a day, week, month, year is, and work back from there. So if they want to shoot 5 sessions a week, know how much revenue that's going to give them, and then have an idea of what they're willing to spend to get that customer into the studio. And then that's their budget. If they spend over that, then, you should take a step back and reassess everything. But if you're on below it, then you should be fine.
Yeah. And I had a feeling that's what you were going to say when I asked you this question. And that's the perfect advice is, being able to know your numbers in a sense and use your brain to unpack this versus just, I'm going to, go out and do all of these things, and you end up with no money at the end of the day. There's a question over in the chat room that I feel is kind of relevant to this also is, you talked about outsourcing, and outsourcing can be viewed as an expense. Obviously, if you are outsourcing something to someone else, then that frees you up to do another thing that you should make more money than you would have doing the thing you're outsourcing. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, for me, what I do in the business is I have 3 tasks that I know that I focus all my time on. So it's marketing, it's creating adverts, it's actually booking those customers into diary, and then it's customer retention, or making sure that we actually deliver on the experience. They're my 3 main focuses, because that's what I bring the most value to the business. So if anything else I do in the business that doesn't focus on those 3 things, if I cannot do it, I do my best not to. And I try and let other people pick that slack up, because I've got other people in my business. If it's just you, find out what the 3 things you do in the business that generates you the most income, are income generating tasks, basically. The 3 things that you do that provide the most financial benefit to your business, and focus on those 3 things, and if you're focusing most of your time on those 3 things, and then slowly outsource other things that you can, that you can get away with doing.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I think it is, again, one of those things. I am inspired by all the things you have going on, and there's a part in my brain that says, I need to figure out how to hire you to, do these kind of things. I am in the online space a lot, and so some of the people that I follow out there do have these, here's the 5-day video campaign, and day 1 you get this, and day 2 you get this. So I see the effectiveness of it. I just don't know anybody else that's doing it in our photography space like you're doing, kind of modeling these best practices from some of these larger companies or larger people. So it's encouraging and a little overwhelming. So we might have to have you unpack it another time.
Yeah, I just want to say that just about overwhelmed. That's a serious thing, especially social media and Instagram. The amount of Instagram influencers that I have on my feed that are millionaires and driving Lamborghinis. So seeing that is a stress, and same way with doing all this marketing work. There's a serious amount of overwhelm to it. The easiest way that I found to combat that is just to write 3 things down you want to achieve the next day. So on the evening of one day, I'll write down 3 things I want to do the next day, and I make sure I do them. I do them as early as I can. And once I've done them, the rest of the day is mine to, do anything else that pops up. So it's just a nice way to kind of get a bit of control over that overwhelm.
So before I go to Kaya, I do want to just take 30 seconds, and you have used the word marketing budget. So how do you structure your marketing budget? Is it based on the goal that you set and you work backwards, or is it based on how much money you have set aside as a percentage of revenue? How did you come up with your marketing budget?
It was just working back. So it was, how many sessions can I book in? What am I willing to pay for that? And then, times the 2 together, basically. Nice. And that gave me my rough idea of what my marketing budget should be. It's slightly more than that at the minute, because I run a lot of different types of adverts. So I'll run adverts purely designed to get bookings and create clients. I've got a lot of stuff I run that's just there to, it's brand building. It's my parents filmed a TikTok earlier. I'll put that out, and I will pay to boost that, just to throw it around our our own page likes, basically. So that's coming out of my advertising budget. I'm not going to get any clients from that, but that's just showing us what we're doing at the minute and kind of touching base and keeping in contact.
Yeah, again, you're the epitome of strategic social, and so we could keep going on just again unpacking this, but we're gonna kind of transition over, and so many things here. I'm sure I'll have to watch this again, even though I'm on this call, and take notes. It's great stuff. Well, I'm going to call you Lexus. And it's just funny how many times I mispronounce your name. But
you said it right this last time.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead and either jump off of where we already were, or I know you probably have a number of things that you can talk on. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Yeah, I first want to say that I love being on these calls, because I think I take more notes and learn from them than anything else. So I'm excited I went last, and I'm like, okay, I've got all these notes. One of the things that's interesting is I have just one person that works for me, and I mainly do high school seniors and then families and children. And Aubrey, who works for me, we talked about what I was going to talk about here because we do our social media together. And she said, I think we really need to work on videos. We need to make videos that show who we are, everything about our business. She said, just start thinking about that. So it's kind of funny because Bradley, you just gave me a list of all the videos that we're going to be making next week. So yeah, I have 4 kids, and so they're ages 12 to 20, and I'm in Kansas, and their school was canceled for the year. And our school also said now they're doing online school, but they said we won't be taking any grades, so none of it really matters. And all my kids know that. So it's been an interesting situation. And I just had someone say to me the other day, a mom, I was asking her a question, and she's like, how do you get everything done? How are you doing all those things? I can't believe everything that you're doing. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, everything you're posting, all the things you're a part of. And, I think one of the big things is that we're all really different personalities. And so my personality, when my reaction to stress is to try to get everything done and to be very, very active, very, very busy. And, one of my sons who's like a strong personality has been like totally relaxed, can't get out of his chair. He's playing video games all day. And so I think we all are going to react differently. And we all have obviously different families. And so when we're talking about this strategic, that's kind of what I came from is I've been watching people, and I feel like there's a lot of frenetic activity that doesn't have a good direction. And even when we first named this group Strategic Social, I was seeing that and thinking about it. And there were so many options, so many things to do. The first time we did this group, I took notes on, having a LinkedIn presence, and I took Facebook notes, and I was like, I'm going to do all these things. Oh my goodness. Especially in the high school senior market, I've been watching, and I feel like a lot of photographers are feeling like they're responsible for their seniors' entertainment all day long. They're trying to post stuff all day long. They're trying to be so out there and so involved in things. But when did we become responsible to entertain people? Like what Bradley's doing he's not entertaining these ladies all day long. He has a plan and what he's putting out there. And so I think that's important to think about. Is what I'm doing sustainable? And is it something that is going to enhance my business later? And I'm going to just talk about a few things. So like front porch sessions, whether they're legal, whether they're not, that whole question, the idea of going around and taking people's picture who aren't styled, not good lighting on their front porch, giving it away for free does not go with my high-end business. And there's just no reason for me to spend my time doing that. The Insta takeovers, I love that idea. I actually have a girl doing that today, but I did not give them access. I'm not giving the high school seniors access to my Instagram account.
Me either.
That's where we connect with people. That I have actually 5 Instagram accounts, but my high school senior Instagram account, they're sending me the videos, I'm posting them. It's going in something that is branded so that when people see it, they don't think they've accidentally followed someone they didn't mean to follow, which happens. And so I think that's important. And speaking on that, Brian, with Instagram and with contacting high school seniors, I don't even know if my high school seniors know my name. My Instagram, eventually they do, obviously when I take their pictures, but my Instagram is called Style News Magazine. And so when we communicate with them, we follow them or they follow us. And then when we communicate with them, we've built up that trust because of who they know that we photographed. So it's not like a creeper, creeping on them and talking to them. So
you've set yourself up as a brand and as a business.
Yes.
Just like I don't know who the CEO of Office Depot is, but I can shop there, and
right.
So you've kind of positioned yourself that way versus being the personality and the person behind it. That's a great point.
And I think that for a while there, brands people wanted to know you personally, and they wanted to, and they still do to an extent. But I think that specifically the Gen Zers, they want the brand name, fanciest, most expensive stuff. And unless the market does a nosedive, these kids are used to getting that. And so that's what they want to connect with. And so, and then there are the virtual FaceTime sessions. I don't know if you've seen that, where people are like having the family members hold the phone and they're taking pictures through the phone, doing photo sessions. That just scares the hooey out of me, because I don't want to show my clients what to do, how to light, that I can turn a cruddy picture into a fantastic one with Photoshop. So I think thinking about, is this sustainable? Is what I'm doing something that really is going to help my business? That is really important. And then the other side of it is, and I think Bradley, you spoke to this so fantastically, what is my goal with this when this is all over? You know, so what am I doing now that I want to do later? Like the Insta takeover, I think it's fantastic, but it takes all day. So when I do it later, I'm going to do it on a day when I know that I can attend to it, and that the seniors are going to be able to pay attention to it. So it's probably going to need to be a weekend, you know, so there's that. And then I think it's really important to, because we may have time or we may not have time right now. You may have the gift of time, or you may have the gift of no time, or the gift of, I can't even get out of bed, I'm so freaked out about all this. But I think one of the most important things right now is to figure out, like, what message am I putting across right now? You know, when this is all over, what do I want my clients to think about me? You know, like Bradley, I feel like your message is, we're here, we're going to be here, we're going to keep doing this. You know, people are going to want to be sexy after this is over. Like, you know, I think there's that. Kristie, I think your message is that I'm your friend, we're all connected, we're all communicating. And for me, with my high school seniors, my message is that we're doing something fun, we're doing something exciting, and we're preparing for what's coming next. With my family and children, it's, I know how you feel, we're all in this together, you know, and when this is over, we want to take your picture and do a great job with it and make you look beautiful. So I think that's really important, is planning ahead and thinking, what do I want to do so that I'm not just turning my wheels right now.
Yeah, I think there's a fear right now, like, unless we act immediately, we're going to be left behind. And I have to be in front of everything. And so, you know, I think we could almost rebrand this group as strategic, sustainable, social, because I think you hit on something really important. Like, this is not social media during the crisis, and then we'll go back to a different brand of social media. This is our brand right now, moving forward infinitely, and how we position ourselves right now is super important. So sustainable is not only important in social, but sustainability is important in everything that we do as we grow our brand. And I think it goes to, and I'm going to ask Kristie to just talk about outsourcing a little bit here in a second, because that is the thing, as you alluded to, you know, so some of these things do take extra time. They may be a really great idea that grows your business, but it's not sustainable when we get back to also photographing and all the other things. So then would we position ourselves to outsource some of this social as well? So I think that's where outsourcing is part of the sustainability. At least that's how I'm starting to kind of connect those two dots. Anybody, Kristie and Kaya and Bradley, want to just, again, kind of talk on social sustainability and how to find maybe that person that you could outsource something to, or how can we make this sustainable?
This kind of relates to the second thing that I wanted to share that I had mentioned before. One of the things that I do a lot throughout the year, what I want to be known for too is that I'm a big supporter of our community, and we do a lot of events to support our community throughout the year with our ambassador program. So we do a charity fashion show and partner with local businesses to support them, and then they're supporting us, in turn giving a great experience to our seniors and our ambassadors. So I wanted to keep doing that through this, because that's part of my brand, but it's also supporting them through a time that a lot of them are struggling, like our boutiques who have to close their doors because they can't have the people come in and shop. And then another business that I partnered with is the DIY sign shops, where you can go in and have like parties where you make your own signs for your house, or make different DIY projects, and they can't have those events because they can't have people in groups. And our local store actually just opened like 2 or 3 months ago. So she's super, super new. And so I partnered with that shop, and then a boutique that I partner with for our fashion show. And she's a huge supporter. She is the owner of this local shop, just does a ton for us all the time. And I really wanted her name to be out there because I wanted people to be online shopping for her boutique. And then a couple other businesses. We all came together to create a gift for my class, for my 2020 ambassadors. And so like Kaya was saying, what is your end goal? And mine was I wanted to showcase these seniors. I wanted them to know that we're thinking of them, that we're proud of them. But I also wanted on the other side to support our local community and our small businesses who really need it at this time. So we created, they're getting these gifts, but the sign shop made custom, I don't know if you can see it, but they make these signs and it says, "The best is yet to come, class of 2020. So it's a DIY sign, so they get something for them to do. But it's a positive message, which is also part of it. And then the other businesses came together and just put things together for the girls. And again, I think I mentioned this before, I couldn't do all this by myself. Financially, that would have been a smart thing to move my business forward. But this little bag, it also promotes all of these businesses, and it promotes the kindness aspect that we're wanting to do. It's telling them that we really care about them, that we're kind of celebrating their graduation, even though they're kind of missing out a little bit. So giving that positive aspect, but partnership, which is kind of like outsourcing. I couldn't do this on my own, but I wanted to do something. So I outsourced by partnering with businesses to give this to my seniors, and something that I wanted to do together. So that is sort of a different take on outsourcing, I guess, because outsourcing is how can you take something off your plate or give something to your clients that you want to do, and make your life a little bit easier too.
Right. It's about getting more hands involved in the end product, right? So whether you're outsourcing or partnering, because outsourcing can be a scary word for some people.
Yeah.
And so I like the idea of partnering with other businesses, partnering with family members, whatever the case may be, which jumps us off into, Ronan has a question for us. He says, what do you think too many photographers do that they should be considering outsourcing? So are there, and we can keep it tighter in terms of that question, just from the strategic social standpoint and keeping us on topic. What social strategies do you think should be outsourced? Do you guys want to just kind of throw some ideas out there?
I mean, I'm outsourcing when my seniors are doing takeovers. I didn't have to create content for, almost 8 days because they're creating the content. So in a sense, that's outsourcing. So your audience can create content, like Bradley was saying, the client testimonials. I mean, they're creating content for you to post that is kind of like, I know it's kind of a twist on outsourcing, but.
Right. Well, I think, and Kaya, you mentioned this, I believe it was, when did we become the entertainment for our customers? And I think that is so true. It's like all of a sudden we feel like unless we post 5 times a day and we have videos and we sing songs to them, they're going to forget us. And I don't think that that's the case. And so just you saying, we don't have to be their entertainment. We can partner with them on content is super powerful. And I think, again, I kind of am thinking of the audience that's listening to this right now. They're in all kinds of different states of their businesses. Some of them are newer photographers. Some of them are experienced brands. And I think everybody is trying to find out what their voice is, who they serve, or who they want to continue to serve. And even, are any of you, so Kaya, you mentioned you have basically this range of kids. Your oldest is 20 and your youngest is 12, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Something in that range? So, for instance, I used to be more a high school senior photographer, but as kids and nieces and nephews transitioned out of being in school, I found my my voice wasn't as powerful, but I was stronger in the business community. So I pivoted a little bit, and now I mostly do corporate work, corporate executive headshots and so forth. Have any of you kind of thought about expanding your brand in terms of social media right now for 5 years down the road, or are you staying completely on topic right now, which is a big question? Like, Bradley, will Boudoir be the thing that you guys stay true to, or are you also maybe expanding a little bit and pivoting?
So, I mean, we shoot a selection of portraits at the minute. So we mostly shoot boudoir families and like newborn shoots. So, I mean, my father mostly shoots the boudoir and the families. My partner, she shoots newborns, and that's what we've got different photographers, so we can pivot that quite well. And we've got 2 studios, so we've got one fully geared towards boudoir, one geared towards families and newborns. So we can pivot those 2 really well. I mean, back in like the 2008 crash, when that happened, we pivoted our entire business from, we weren't shooting boudoir then. We pivoted it all from mostly doing families to shooting anything that we could to earn money, basically. But I mean, at the minute, we're very niched with our specialty, really. I mean, moving forward, I don't see any change in that. I think we'll always get families and boudoirs in, and pets. We shoot a lot of pet photography. Really enjoy pets. But yeah.
So one of the reasons I asked this, and it's just always on my mind, is I read this article where Google does this mix, 70-20-10. 70% is their core business, 20% is an adjacent business, and 10% is experimental. And you never know when the 10% is going to become the 70%. So as an example for me, I didn't necessarily like business headshots because I didn't feel it was creative enough for me. So that's where I was a wedding photographer and high school senior photographer. But that 10% now is my 70%. And so I think I always want to encourage people to find that 10% maybe out there that they might need to pivot a little bit. Ronan asked this question about large event photographers and how we can maybe even promote that on social right now. And that, I think, is the industry that's probably hit the hardest. You know, weddings, corporate events that just cannot happen. How do we message to them? Is it the message that we will be there for you when the time is right, or even drilling down into, I mean, a large corporate event has a lot of families that would have come to it. Do you dig in and try and find family business out of that? Anybody want to unpack that elephant?
Well, I think it's a question of how, what, I don't have any idea what they're really doing. So I think it depends. Like what I like about what Bradley's doing with his kind of evergreen campaign is that I think if that's what you want to do and you want to be able to do large events in the future, then, just talking about how you do it, what it's like, what it looks like, telling the story of it, I think is great. I mean, I don't think you're going to book them right now. So I don't think, doing advertisement that's like designed to actually book clients, I don't think that's going to work. So I think knowing the reason. Yeah.
Yes. Great. I think that is the thing.
That's what Bradley's doing. He's educating his client on what to expect so that when they're ready to be there, they kind of know and they're getting excited about it when you're showing the behind the scenes. So when you are building that excitement and building that education of knowing what they're going to expect when they do book, for events, it would be the same way. I know a lot of the photographers that I follow who are maybe in weddings or events are kind of doing that. They're going through tips for planning their wedding or tips for having to readjust their schedule or just letting them know that they're there for them to help on those readjustments or reschedules and connecting them with the resources that they need. Because I think it's more of a time of education and not, like Kai was saying, it's not necessarily a time you're going to be booking events, but you, again, want to come back to what is your end goal and do you want them to think of you when they are ready? Yeah.
So having the confidence to say, I'm going to get my message out, but I might not get an immediate return on investment, and therefore I'm not a failure at this.
Yeah, definitely. I think I had a conversation with my friend the other day, and she was just really discouraged because
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't anything coming in. And I can't speak for everyone, but I mean, I'm not getting a bunch of inquiries right now, and that can be very discouraging. I definitely can wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I hope this doesn't last for 6-7 months. But focusing more on what you can do and control right now. We talked about this, I think, in the wellness one, is going to give you that energy and that drive to move forward. And like Bradley's doing, and Kaya's saying, focusing on what your goals are is super important.
Yeah. I'm going to actually take a question from Kaya here, and she wanted to know if I could kind of speak on how I'm using social in the corporate world. And I'm going to unpack this in a real quick analogy. When my dad started our business 40 years ago, there wasn't social media. He did it by being social. And so I have this amazing network of people. And previous to COVID, what I could do is I could go to the coffee shop, and I would see the mayor, and I would see city council, and I would see the bank manager, and I would talk to them. And I would say, hey, you know what? I have this idea. I want to partner with you on this, or this. And I made business happen because I was social. So in this social media world, and I can't go to the coffee shop and have that conversation. So I'm actually using Messenger to be my social media. I'm having conversations with people. I'm actually, you know what, these devices, I can actually call people. It's crazy. That I can actually talk to somebody and connect with them that way too. I'm using Zoom as a way to talk to different business people. I was scheduled to go down and do a bunch of headshots in the Bay Area, and obviously that's not happening, but it doesn't mean I'm not having those conversations. And so some of strategic social cannot just be online. We have to be strategic in our conversations and planting seeds. So I am always talking to my clients, my business clients, about partnering. Hey, I have this idea, and let's look at this and this. And so one of the things I'm putting in place right now is starting a podcast in my community where I interview business leaders on, the message is called On, In, and Through. So I want to know strategically how you're working on and in your business so you can be a blessing through your business. And so I want to connect business leaders to be able to share that message. I'm going to video it. I'm going to, strip out the audio for the podcast, and be able to be the person in my community that they say, we want to be on your show. We want to connect with you because you're driving the conversation through this time and in the future. So this brand will last way beyond COVID. So that's one of the ways I'm using social, just not all online, but I'm having rich, deep conversations. I was at the Portrait Gallery in DC earlier this year, and there's this picture of the innovators of the time. And so there's all these, great images of different people. And I want to kind of recreate that. Our Chamber of Commerce is having our 150th anniversary, I think it is, coming up, or 125th. I could be wrong on the number, but nonetheless, I want to do some commemorative portraits that say, who are the people that kind of helped build this community, and do blog posts on them, do images of them, and build kind of a channel so that when we do get out of this, again, people are going to say, I want to have you come out and do a story on my company. So that's a little bit how I'm pivoting within my own brand. But it is, I am as active in communicating to my people and saying, let's partner together to help you get out of this. My company can help your company, and I know we'll both be blessed for it. So I hope that kind of answers a little bit of your question, how I'm using it. But one place I do need to get better at is LinkedIn. That is something I've left a ton of contacts probably on the table there. So TikTok, definitely not for corporate executives. LinkedIn is where I need to put my, double down on right now. LinkedIn and Instagram, I think, are the two places, but I'm building out this podcast channel to really connect. And I consider that to be social media as well.
Yeah, that's great. That was exactly my question. And I do have a podcast, so if you want to talk about that later, and I can talk about Instagram. But so the other thing is that I'm doing is sending out a weekly email, which I normally do monthly or bi-monthly to my regular clients. And so I've asked like local boutiques if I can put them in my email, or each email I showcase someone different. And then because I did that, then they were all like, what can I do for you? And so we're going to do giveaways on our Instagram. And so I do think that strategically connecting, like how you're doing is very specific. But you could also do with any other local people and do the circle, just like what Kristie was doing with her gift bags. But yeah, it's great.
So many great ideas. We're going to start to kind of put a bow on all this, and we could talk for days, probably. Such great information. One of the things in the pre-chat that we kind of talked about was this social listening. And we are all really good at putting content out, but we're not necessarily all as skilled at listening to what's kind of going on. And maybe we can just kind of talk about this right now. I know that it's really easy to be in promotion mode, but to certain communities right now that are extremely hit with this COVID crisis, there are people that unfortunately are on incubators and people that are dying. And how do we be sensitive to that, or even to the message saying we have this gift of time, but I don't have 4 children at home. I can only imagine how much more time that takes than if they were in school right now. So how are you guys listening to your clients? How are you listening to maybe the market in general? Any insights you want to share there?
Yeah, again, it's not on social media, but we've been phoning at every one of our clients that we've had booked in for the next week and the next month, and just having a chat with them about the situation, about if there's any ways we can actually help them. We've hand delivered orders. We've offered to go shopping for people, to pick some supplies up for them if they can't get out of the house. Like I said, a lot of people have this gift of time, but many don't. Many are in the home with kids. They can't get out to go shopping. A lot of our customers are actually scared. They're actually in work at the moment. And we have a lot of people in the NHS. Our customers are in the NHS, and they're quite fearful of this entire thing. So I think it's important more than ever to phone customers up and just chat with them.
So not just online, but just again being social.
Yeah, again being social. Just have a chat with them over the phone about not even about booking them in for the shoot. That's like an app. Rebooking them, that's just an afterthought. It's about what they're going through, listening to them, because again, we're all very cooped up in our own homes at the minute. We're not really talking to anybody else, and we are social. It will drive us crazy. But yeah, and then find out if there's any ways we can help them. I think that's more important now than ever.
How are you listening to your clients, Kaya?
Well, with high school seniors, I'm just watching what they post on the social media. But with my families and children, well, it's all on social media. So Facebook for the families and children, and then Instagram. I don't go on TikTok because I won't ever get off TikTok. It's really scary. It's like a black hole of ridiculousness every 15 seconds. But I think there's that. But at this time of the year, April and May, I don't normally talk to my clients much anyway. So it's not like we need to be in each other's back pockets, really. So.
And I think that is so powerful right there. We don't have to change who we are, in a sense. And having a little breath to not be entertainment and, like you say, be in the back pocket, I think is healthy. So hopefully that encourages a lot of listeners out there that we don't have to all of a sudden become a radio channel. So super powerful things. We are.
Can I say one more thing?
Ahead.
So
of course.
What I'm doing, like next week, my plan is to make the Bradley Bulmer videos. And I think that is really, like, I would encourage people, to be strategic with whatever time you have to create things. So when this is over and they, open the gate and we get to run out of our houses, that we're going to be ready to make money. So that's what I encourage people to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna pose one more question at us, and then we're gonna kind of put the bow on us. But basically, this question is one of those elephants in the room: that will photography be on the back burner of our clients' minds when they come out of this. And part of me says, of course it will. It's not first world, first level problems. Some of it is how much you place an importance on it, and finding those clients that it is important to, that they were already scheduled to do things. I mean, just because weddings will continue, people's family reunions, high school seniors, there's going to remain to be a need for our industry. And we can't necessarily say that it's going to go away. Some people might not adapt as well through this, and they won't be top of mind when we come out of it. I think that's where the strategic social has a place, so that when the time is right, this industry survives and grows, and you connect with your ideal clients even better. So I'm going to turn it over. I guess I kind of answered my own question there. I'm going to turn it over to Ronan, and we can put a bow on this.
Guys, an amazing session again. And I love the way you were able to deep dive into the subjects much more now. We'll do more of that going forward. But the key messages for me is, and it's in the name of this group, guys, because if you asked 100 people, what does strategic social mean? They'd say social media. And Brian has just shown you it's not just about social media. It's much more than that. You know, pick up the phone, talk to your clients. You can see Bradley is doing the same. Kaya and Kristie talked about, you know, having a goal and understanding what that goal is, because sometimes we are encouraged just to jump in and do something for the sake of doing it. But you've got to think, as Bradley says, with the end outcome in mind, and then work backwards. And it was really clever ideas around some outsourcing you can do. So one outsourcing I've done in the past when I talk to photographers and we analyze their numbers is the amount of time that a lot of photographers that I see spend on manipulating images and all that sort of stuff. And they get lost in it because they love it, because we all do what we love most, yeah? We put off what we don't like doing, and we do what we love, because that's where we find comfort, and that's just human nature. And for me, a lot of photographers don't realize the amount of time they spend on that. And for me, the clever photographers I see is they outsource the core of that, and then they add their little bit of magic dust to it when it comes back in. So I don't know if you guys do that or not, but that's something where I've done time analysis with photographers on where they spend their time, that so much time that doesn't pay them is spent on manipulating images to a large degree.
Yeah, one of the things I do is, let's say I have 10 images to refine and take through Photoshop. I write down what time I start and what time I end, and I have a target that I learned from a photographer a long time ago when she was actually scanning negatives, that you want to basically be at a certain, like 5 minutes or less, not to touch an image. So some images may take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to refine, and maybe another one takes a little bit longer. But you can look at it and say, okay, if I have 10 images and it takes me 6 minutes per image, that's an hour. How much is an hour of my time worth? And if I can outsource it and book another client, I've quadrupled my money. And so that's kind of how I do it, is knowing it takes me 6 minutes or less to do an image. And if it's not cost effective, I need to have somebody else do it. So yeah.
And then the last thing I want to talk about, and normally I avoid plugging anything we do as a business, but I want to take this opportunity only because Bradley is here. So it's more about Bradley than it is about us. But so, and getting back to your, Brian, you know, the 70-20-10 Google rule, we try and follow that as a business. And currently Business Success Academy is less than 10% of our business. But Business Success Academy, I believe, in the next year or so will probably be 70% of our business. And Business Success Academy is about helping all businesses, not just photographers, to generate, to achieve two things. One is to build your brand on social media that you talked about, which is separate than lead generation on social media. And you need two different strategies for that. So we are opening up Business Success Academy. Currently, the course is $999. We are opening that up starting next week into a membership program. And we're making the first month of that membership program available for just the sum of $9.99.
Wow.
Or £9.99. And you can go in there. But not only that, is Bradley is going to be part of the team. So the two best social media marketeers that I've seen that have a relationship with the photography market are Bradley and Jonathan. And Jonathan, just so you know, Jonathan spends for another business, his own business, he spends up to more than $1,000 a day on Facebook generating leads that turn into business. So you've got two people there who know this inside out and backwards. You can use their expertise. You can do the whole course in a day if you want and just be there for the month at $9.99, or you can choose to stick with them where they'll actually help you implement this in their business. So that's a big present coming from us to you, and Bradley will be a central part of that. So I just said I had to mention it because Bradley's here.
Well, I know I'll be a part of it because the closer I can get into Bradley's mind, the better.
Okay, guys, thank you so much again. We hope we'll see you again over the next couple of weeks on strategic, sustainable social. Exactly. And good night, everybody, or good day or good morning, depending where you are in the world. And we'll see you all again tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have Tony Corbell with the commercial team. So that's on at 7 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, I'm wrong on that. It's on at 8 p.m. GMT, which is, what is that in Eastern? It's about 4 o'clock, is it? Thereabouts. So 4 o'clock Eastern. Anyway, join the group, Photography Think Tank, and the link is in there to sign up. So good night, guys. Thank you so much again, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks. See you.